If you want to know the earliest spots and methods to farm XP, JP, and money, you are in the right place. I've spent dozens of hours hunting and optimizing these 3 farming methods so I can give you the fastest and most efficient spots that will not waste your precious time. Following this guide will let you earn 3,000 plus XP, thousands and thousands of JP, and even more than 45k worth of money so you can be overpowered in the earliest time possible. Like for example, the Night Ardent Garrison spot, which will allow you to farm different types of level 10 enemies, and this is perfect for early game progress. You don't really need to farm till level 10, and you will reach this level by just progressing in the main story. But if you really want to grind in as early time as possible, I would suggest starting it at level 10. You can find the Night Ardent location from Triotropolis and then go through its plains and then access the garrison. If you are really close to level 10 and you really want to dive into farming right away with whatever setup you have, by all means have fun and farm to your heart's content. However, I would suggest following my suggested setup here first so you can optimize your farming runs and get more XP, JP, and money per hour in all of the farming spots and methods that I am going to show you. Getting all of the earliest companions in the game is highly suggested, so you do have a vast arsenal of equipment to exploit the enemy weakness type during your runs. The more characters you have, the more you can optimize your runs because of their unique skills and passives. Get your first hunter in the game, which is Fen, and you can access his quest by completing the Rekindling Flame side quest in Wishvale. Stia will ask you to investigate the Frostland region where Fen was last seen. All of the early quests are pretty straightforward here, so by just following the quest marker, you will eventually clear all of the events in Fen's quest to recruit him. The next one is Macy, who is your second earliest healer in the game. Recruit Macy by visiting the town of Emberglow, which is not far from Wishvale. You can go to Emberglow by heading to Wishvale Trail and then West Emberglow Wilds. And finally, Emberglow Wilds, where the entrance of the town can be located. Find her in the inn, and a series of straightforward events will commence. And at the end of all of the interactions, Macy will join your ranks. Just in case you haven't noticed, I'm skipping the happenings or some of the details on each character's quest to save time to make this guide concise. But if you want a much detailed guide on finding all of these characters and have an idea on how to use them, watch my party member guide video here, link in the description, or find it by clicking the card here. The next one is Viator, who is your first warrior in the game. Head to the town of Valor to get this guy. You can pretty much reach the town of Valor much more easily from Emberglow. But if you want to access the town from Wishvale, you can do so by heading to Wishvale Trail, then West Emberglow Wilds, and then Valor Trail to find the entrance of the town. After arriving in town, find the nearest pub from the entrance and talk to the singing bard to get the attention of Viator, and he will join your ranks after the fateful encounter. Keep in mind that you can only get this guy directly if you selected the Crested Key as your keepsake during character creation. But if you don't have the Crested Key with you, get one as a loot in Serpent's Burrows side dungeon. You can get there from the town of Emberglow and access Emberglow Wilds, then North Triotropolis Plains, to find the entrance of the dungeon. Kelsus the Thief is the next one, and you can easily find this guy in the town of Valor as well. Head to the main boulevard of the town and access the pub in this area. Talk to Kelsus and he will join your ranks after the interaction. The last and the strongest of the earliest party members is the scholar Alexia, who you can find in Triotropolis. You can access Triotropolis by accessing Wishvale Trail and then access North Triotropolis Plains. And finally, head to Triotropolis Plains where you can find the entrance of the town. From here, access the town's library and talk to Alexia, who is checking the bookshelves on the left, and she will join your ranks. The seventh member in this lineup is of course the protagonist, and in case you haven't noticed, I am using the merchant job in all of my recordings so far, and there are two specific main reasons why I picked this job as my initial class. The skill Mystic Shot damages all enemies and restores SP for your members to the entire front row, equal to 2% of the skill's damage dealt. These skills allow me to sustain the party's SP, so I don't need to keep using plums to tap them. So this eliminates the need of going back and forth from towns just to restock plums, making my farming runs faster and efficient. The second skill that I want to highlight is the Arrow of Fortune, which is very helpful for getting the fastest JP gains in the earliest time possible. You will get a certain percentage of the total damage dealt by this skill and turn it into JP. This allows you to farm a huge amount of JP very early in the game. I will dive into this later on a separate elaborate method, so stay tuned for that. After getting all the members, follow my suggested formation that I am showing on the screen right now before you move on to the next step. And if you are getting value so far, subscribe to the channel. Liking the video and engaging in the comments helps me more than you can imagine. Now that you already have 7 party members, you can jump straight into the methods, but there are still room for improvements to make your runs godly. There are a lot of broken early equipment that you can get around towns to give you very nice stats to begin with. This will be covered in a different video because the list is too long for this farming guide, so I will just concentrate on the essentials to make this guide concise. The first one are the iron armor and the sword magic eater. Both of these equipment provide super nice stats, which is too much for your current progress. Get these 2 equipment by entreating a specific soldier standing near the amphitheater of Triatropolis. You will notice right away that the percentage is super low, like 3% for the armor and sword. So how the hell it is possible for us to get them at this early stage? This is actually simple. Go and find the nearest save point and make sure you have 5 reputation attempts. Save your progress and try entreating the guy to get either the iron armor or the magic eater. If you fail, it doesn't matter, quit the game, load your save and try again until you succeed. Depending on your luck, it may take a while for you to get these items, but if you do so, my goodness, your overall strength will skyrocket. However, you are not required to do this, especially if it's taxing for you. You can easily just use whatever weapons you can get from shops and from NPCs. The second essential equipment that you can get in Triatropolis is the History of Orstera, which is a very nice tome for Alexia since she is going to be one of the best damage nukes in the party. Get this awesome tome by applying the save and load method, and the Burly Scholar has this item, located in the library of Triatropolis. Now, as I mentioned, there are a lot of items to get in towns, and you do have an option to check every NPC or complete the other side dungeons to get more equipment. If you did explore enough, your build should look like this. Make sure that the protagonist will have the best spear and bow, so our mystic shot and arrows of fortune can hit hard later on. You really don't need to copy every equipment in here since the upcoming spot is an entry level. Now that all of those things are out of the way, it is time for the actual method. Running in the Night Ardent's garrison will let you farm enemies, and what I usually do is break enemies first and deal the most serious damage possible. You can easily break enemies by constantly switching between your party members to exploit enemy weaknesses. Once enemies break, you can cast Alexia's lightning or dark damage to nuke enemies depending on which element the enemies are weak to. Or if I want to sustain my party's SP, break your enemies first, and then the protagonist should cast a maximum charge of Mystic Shot and watch your SP stacks like a fountain. In this specific spot, a 5-minute farming run gives you an average of 82 XP, 42 JP, and almost 2k worth of leaves or money. Do this method for an hour and we are looking at a 900 to 1k worth of XP, 500 plus worth of JP, and 20k plus worth of money per hour. Pretty nice to get you running and be set for the next spot. If you want better gains overall, the Rippled Coastline spot offers level 20 enemies to farm. This spot also spawns Kates that can give you 1000 XP if you manage to defeat them. Find this spot by starting from Triatropolis, then access Triatropolis Plains, and finally access the coastland regions, and then head to the Rippled Coast. Unlock the town of Rippled, which is just near the spot's location, for resupplying purposes or to have access to better gear. Nothing really changes in the build, but since you can easily earn money from the previous spot, you can visit the weapon shop of Rippled and update the equipment of your party members, so you can increase the chance of your success in the actual method later on. The suggested level for this spot is around level 15 to 16 before starting your runs. Start your actual method by going to the coastline of Rippled and start running around to aggro enemies. Now you will see here that the previous method or strategies already applies. Here's another quick rundown for your convenience. What I usually do is break all enemies with your diverse weapon types, and once they are broken, the goal here is to hit them with either of the maximum charged lightning or dark spell from Alexia, or wipe enemies with a maximum charged mystic shot from the protagonist to sustain your party's SP and to streamline the process. A 5-minute run in this spot will give you an average of 166 to 200 plus worth of XP, 77 plus worth of JP, and then 2 to 3k plus worth of leaves. Do this consistently for an hour and we are looking at an insane 2k plus XP, 1k plus of JP, and 32k plus worth of money per hour, not counting the Ks that can spawn in this area, which gives 1k XP for each kill. When they appear, make sure to use your soul stone so they can't run away and get that sweet XP. JP, since you can hit them for now since your accuracy is pretty low. My character levels when I made this calculation were around level 16 to 17, so you'll be getting more if you have higher levels, and I suggest staying here at least level 23 and moving on to the next one. If you find the previous spot crazy, nothing really beats West Valor Trail spot for now, which allow you to farm level 23 enemies while also giving you the chance to spawn Kates as well. You can access this spot by accessing Valor and then heading to Valor Trail, and finally, head to West Valor Trail. When you arrive in the location, make sure to get Befuddling Dagger that gives you huge stats in the northern part of the trail. Nothing has really changed when it comes to the build and when it comes to the strategy. Just make sure to pull off a maximum charge elemental attack or a maximum charge mystic arrow. Another tip here is that you can use Tia and let her cast Donate BP skill to jumpstart the protagonist's BP, so you can pull off a fully charged mystic shot as early as possible. And of course, only do this if it is appropriate since our turn orders may vary. In a 5-minute run, you can expect an average of 200 plus XP, 100 plus of JP, and almost 4k leaves per run. In an hour of consistent farming, we are looking at a whopping 2500 to 3k plus worth of XP, 1200 plus worth of JP, and 45k plus of money per hour. Truly the best earliest spot in the game. This calculation were made from a level 21 character, so you'll be scoring more as you level up in this spot. But what if you want to farm JP instead of XP? I hear you asking, my dear viewer. Although I wouldn't suggest farming for JP alone, especially in the early parts of the game. But I do have a specific method to farm it. I mentioned that the Arrows of Fortune gives you the best JP gains per fight, and you can easily do this by doing the same strategy where you break enemies and hit them with a fully charged Arrow of Fortune instead. The higher the damage, the higher the JP you gain on each hit, since the Arrow of Fortune converts a certain percentage of the raw damage to JP. While you can also take advantage of the Great Juice Food recipe to have a 25% XP buff that lasts for 20 turns. Although it lasts for a very short amount of time, if you manage to spawn a Kate with a food buff active, you will gain tons of XP if you manage to kill it. But what if you want to know the best beginner tips to have the perfect start? This video will teach you everything you need to know, so click on it and I will catch you on the next one.